Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly fishing video. So what are we up to this week? Well, what I want to do this week is to introduce a Stillwater angler to the joys of grayling fishing. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm not a guide by any stretch of the imagination, but I hope to have enough knowledge in order to get Storm started on his grayling journey. Now, to help me with that, I've got a professional fly fishing guide in the guise of Adam Sinclair coming along later to make sure I've set him up properly and I've not given him some bum advice.
So I'm pretty new to this, Adam, and I've got my Frenchie on, got my 10-foot 3-weight rod, my DT line, and I've tied on just a small eyelet to do some nymphing.
So from there we've had an extension of tippet with a dropper tied on.
Yeah.
And then we'll fish 2 flies. So we'll fish a shrimp pattern at the top here.
Okay.
Quite light, unweighted, and then a heavier nymph on the point.
Okay.
Which will allow us just to drop all these down.
So no bead on that fly and a bead on this fly?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So the shrimp will have some lead wrap in it just to help it get down.
Yeah.
But we'll be aiming for the tungsten on the point to drag it down.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I've bought some of the little connectors that advertise to you that if you use them, you don't get wraps in your dropper. Let me just grab them out. These things, so they're called Euro Nymph rollers. Are those any good?
Never used them.
Never used them. Okay. I mean the idea is that it means your dropper doesn't twist around your tippet, and you've got to change it less often.
If you've got control over your cast, we shouldn't get the twist.
Great.
Yeah.
And then in terms of indicator, I mean, I bought some quite big leery things. I haven't bought any gink actually to stick on them, or any floating to stick on them. And I've also got a slightly smaller indicator to tie on there.
Okay.
I mean, those I imagine are pretty straightforward to tie on. That is slightly more subtle, but probably a bit more difficult to tie on.
So what we'll do to begin with is we'll just fish this flat, upstream nymphing style. We're not going to be casting too far.
Okay.
So we'll be able to see the twitch in the Frenchie.
Okay.
Which will indicate the take, and we'll be able to strike.
Got it.
And as we progress throughout, we can change methods. We can set up a duo.
Okay.
We can set up a single nymph. Yeah, there's many methods that we can look at and try.
Great.
But to begin with, we'll fish the double nymph up through this section here, fish that through, climb out, reevaluate, and then maybe move over to a duo as well.
Great. Sounds good.
Well, Adam's set up Storm here with the double nymph, and have we got an indicator on Adam?
No, we're going to fish this straight up. The sighter that's on here is good enough to allow us to see this sat on the surface. I've put a little bit of muslin on top so it sits on the surface.
Ah, okay. And you're going to watch that surface
We're just
tension?
going to watch that twitch, and then that'll indicate the take, and then we'll be able to lift into that fish.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right, I'll let you boys crack on.
Yeah. Right. We'll head down, and then what we'll do, we'll have a little look.
Well, I'm ever so pleased that Adam could come along and help today. So what you just heard there is he's muselined up the French leader, and instead of having the leader off the water like I would fish it, he's actually watching that leader sitting on top of the water. If there's any movement, you strike, hopefully you're into a fish. Let's see how he's getting on.
So the water here is quite shallow.
Okay.
So I've put a tiny, small 2.5 mil beaded black and purple nymph on.
Because it doesn't need to get down too far.
It doesn't need to go down too fast.
So the tippet you've put on, I bought some along as well. That's times 7.
So 3.5 pounds, yeah. So I'm using Orvis Super Strong Plus in the 43.3 pounds, 6X, which is absolutely perfect for here.
Cool.
We're not going to bump into anything big.
Yeah.
Big fish wise. This section of the river's not stocked with big trout. So grayling and wild trout will be our only fish here.
So black and purple nymph.
Yeah.
Little bit of UV in the collar.
I see.
Coq de Leon tail, black body, and then a silver rib, just to finish it off. Really simple, really effective.
And we're looking at about 2 foot or about a foot actually.
Yeah,
Just
about a
between
foot. We're going to
dropper.
fish them quite close together, just because of how shallow the water is.
Right.
Then some shrimp patterns here. So we'll just start off something really natural looking, which represents what's in the water. So what I'd like to do is almost position myself in the middle of the river, and then fish. Create a grid system in front of you to the length of the line that you've got out, and just fish the different areas, and then come back across. Once you've fished that grid system, take a few paces up, because as you move, your fly will be presented differently, a bit more distance on it, and it'll be going into those same areas, but that fly might be doing something different. It might be moving, it might be bouncing along the bottom, and it could induce that tail.
And a good 2 arcs before you take those few steps.
Absolutely. Yeah, just keep fishing it through. Like that fish we just caught there. Where there's one, there's often many. Where the leaf is, that's where that fish came from. I would absolutely be putting another couple of casts over there and then moving on.
Great.
As we warm into this, what we'll do, we'll get rid of this hideous indicator. It's just there to give you that opportunity to see what that take looks like, identify what that take feels like, because snagging things on the bottom as opposed to a fish hitting the nymph is completely different. So we'll persevere with this for a little while, but we will move it up, we will take it off, and we'll go to something a bit more delicate.
Okay.
Over to you, Steve.
Thank you.
I'll come to your right hand side.
Certainly know in the still waters this time of year is shrimp is on, isn't it? Yeah.
Same for the rivers, especially on the Avon. There's so much shrimp life. It's got a shrimp pattern in the winter on the Avon. It's got to feature on your cast.
Okay. And as natural as natural looking
try
as
and get
possible.
it as natural as you can.
So that's more brown than sort of the grey shrimp colours of the still waters, I'd say.
Ready's all right.
Fantastic.
All right. So the water.
All good. Okay.
Nice hook in the side of the lip there.
Crack.
Beautiful grayling.
Now, should I reel this?
Great start.
Hey, well done, Storm.
Happy days.
First Grayling.
Thanks a lot. First Grayling.
And look, and she's even taken it out herself.
Taking it out herself. Amazing.
It's for you to put her back.
That's that expertly tied fly, Storm.
I see.
My fly.
Oh,
We changed it. Get that one, keep that one in there.
Look at that. Beautiful. First one.
There she goes.
perfect. Well done, mate.
Black and purple.
Well, we've come out the river. Storm's caught his first and second grayling already. Now, his feet are really cold because he's bought the Wellington boot bottoms, and they're not great in the winter months, I've got to say. And not only that, we're getting rain, which was not forecast, so I'm using the lee of my car just to stop the water hitting the lens, and you're getting a clear picture. But it's actually coming down quite heavy now. It's what we call dreich in Scotland. So it's small rain. It's not heavy, but it's enough as that it would coat the lens in water. So what we're going to do next is, when Adam's finished having a cup of coffee, he's going to come over and we're just going to give Storm a little debrief on how he's doing so far. So we're a couple of hours into the session. Storm, you've had your first grayling in that, big smile on the face.
Yeah, great
How
feeling.
did you find it?
Yeah, really good. Handy having doing the dual method, so on top and having the nymph. Just so much easier to see when you get the strike.
Yeah. So Adam, your coaching's brought him on. He's got his first fish, which always takes the pressure off for a guide, I suppose.
It does, absolutely. We worked the method out fairly quick. The river's pushing through. It's quite an even depth as you go through the river. So straight over to the duo. Ideal. We're fishing maybe 18 inches underneath the dry. Tiny little black and purple nymph on a 2mm bead, and it's picking up fish. We've had some grayling, a couple of out of season trout that we've put back.
Yeah.
and we're just working our way up. We've moved Storms over to the right-hand side of the river. It's fairly shallow, nice shelf. So what that's allowing is for him to cast upstream and then fish all that fishable water. The shelf is maybe 8 inches deep, so we're just positioning ourselves there, locking our feet down, not disturbing the water. We're not pushing any bow waves up, and we're just taking our time. And he's being really methodical with his cast.
Yeah,
you know,
I've noticed that, divvying up the water,
breaking it down.
And that's half the battle. If you can fish every bit of fishable water you've got in front of you, you increase your chances tenfold, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing I would say, so we're on the Manningford Estate at the Rushall beat, and the wading here is relatively easy. So you don't need to worry about a life vest or a wading staff. You can concentrate on fishing the water in front of you, and I think you've done that really, really well so far, Storm. Unfortunately, the rain's coming down a bit now, but we're going to try and get a bit more fishing in, and we'll see if Storm can catch a few more. Well, we've had to call it a day early. It's not quite lunchtime, but what's happened, Storm?
Well,
a disaster, isn't it?
A disaster with my waders and their attached willies, and I've sprung a leak and my feet have just got really cold.
Yeah, so basically the leak's sprung just above his knee, so the Wellington boot part is filled with water. Now we're still in January, and it's not safe to carry on. Now, we don't have spare waders, and I don't think it's very fair keeping you in the river, Storm, just for the sake of a video. So I think we're going to call it a day. Storm's going to go on his way. Perhaps me and Adam might get another hour, but thanks very much for popping along, Storm.
Thank you.
And I hope the professional tutelage from Adam Sinclair, that's Hatch Fly Fishing, if anyone's interested in booking a day with Adam on the River Avon, just get in contact through his website, and I'll put a link to that in the description area below the video.